Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Telling Tales. Welcome back to Symbaroum. It's Wednesday. It's Symbaroum. That's how things work around here. So, I hope everyone's ready for some atmospheric, dark fantasy tabletop role playing, because I sure maybe am. So, before we crack on with introducing people and recaps and stuff, as the cat watches me menacingly from behind, I'm going to deliver the usual promo stuff. Down below, there's a whole bunch of links. There's links to Twitch, links to YouTube. You're watching on one, please do check out the other. Links to our Discord, our social media, our Patreon. Those are all things that do the things they do. Go have a look at them. We now are currently running 2 series a week. Cincinnati Chronicles, our long-running World of Darkness anthology series, ended yesterday. How very sad, he said, mildly relieved that he has his Tuesday nights back. Mondays is Warhammer and Wednesdays is Symbaroum. We also run one shot every month, where we play lots of different varied systems and settings. The next one is on Saturday, September the 10th, where I'll be running Night of the Hogmen. And then September's a double feature because we had to skip August. So Johnny, later on in the month, will be running some kind of space-based Call of Cthulhu adventure. So, yeah, look forward to that. But that's enough about things that aren't Symbaroum. That's not going to get you anywhere in life, just paying attention to non-Symbaroum things. Let's start bringing on the players and they can start talking about the session we had 2 weeks ago. So, we will begin with Sam. Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hey. Hello.
Sam plays Ascarai, our resident changeling ranger, for which we will need the art in a moment. Oh, he's on with it. There we go. Sam, talk us through the beginning of the last session.
So we started off kind of having just left Thistlehold. We were making our way up through Davokar towards these ruins that our Ordo Magica friend wanted to investigate. The journey there was pretty, well, by Davokar standards, was very uneventful. I think the only real thing, we crossed another caravan coming down from Karvosti, who sort of gave some indication that there was trouble brewing in the north. The same kind of rumors as we've heard before, of a bit of kind of a barbarian war uprising, something of that nature going on, but nothing too specific. And we in turn gave them a bit of warning that things had been pretty eventful in Thistlehold, and hopefully their house was not in the bottom of a sinkhole. And then we carried on our way. At some point, we started to come across kind of Symbaric ruins a bit more frequently in the road, and we kind of figured out that this was likely where one of the ruins was. Gandalf said that there were like a few that it could be, but this was, worth investigating. So we followed these ruins off the path a short way as they became kind of more and more pronounced. But eventually we came to a large clearing where there's obviously some kind of bigger ruins, kind of ruined buildings. And we were met by, I think, a single arrow shot, and then some friendly-ish person came to talk to us.
Absolutely. And to lead us through this negotiation, let's bring on that master negotiator, John. John plays Arendar, last scion of House Dar, conscience of our group of sellswords. Meerkat not pictured. John, what happened next?
What happened next is that there was a bit of a whip round from the group to see what terms we had to negotiate on. And Arendar successfully got the previous occupants of the ruin to halve their offer, and no one died, and they left, and we successfully gained access to this small ruined building.
Yeah,
it was great.
It was. I think it's probably worth pointing out. I'm not sure. Did we actually mention that you were negotiating with other treasure hunters that you could take the ruin?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that happened. That was a thing that happened. It seemed pretty successful, even if it did cost you. How much was it in the end?
$100.
100 thaler. A pittance, really. Especially considering every treasure you found in there so far. Nothing. So, but hey, you haven't really looked around for treasure. You've only just you're exploring all the rooms that are available. So, and speaking of exploring all those rooms available, let's talk about that with the person who drew the short straw on this recap bit. It's Stephen. Stephen plays a Lindra, former Templar novice, and anti-conscience of the group.
Well, Alindra's like heavily implied threat of violence as a potential outcome clearly wasn't enough to get us a better price than 100 thaler.
No.
Having
don't feel you have to describe every room, obviously, but what was the general ruin like?
Well, it was generally ruinous. We went through some kind of ground floor sort of servants' quarter stuff. There were some steps down into the basement on the east end, the left-hand side of the upside-down map, which led down to a corridor with some storerooms and a very weird kind of frame halfway down the corridor, which appeared to contain like a giant invisible stone golem, I think is the best way I can describe that. So that kind of blocked our passage that way. We went and looked at a room in the back that had a symbol of a copper cypress tree, which indicated in conjunction with some research and some thought from Ganderald that this was the place owned by or associated with the sorceress called Menandra.
Menandra Naya.
That's the one. Who is into something called morphantic mysticism, some kind of flesh crafting. So we had to look upstairs. We found what we think was the bedroom of Menandra and her lover, I guess, Domo. We found a tablet that the other treasure hunters had unfortunately damaged a bit, but we're able to piece it back together to indicate that it was them. And then just continued exploring until we sort of found ourselves in what I guess used to be the tower area that had another set of steps heading down.
Indeed, and at the base of those steps, a door. And to tell us about the door and what lay beyond it, let's bring on our final player, Chris. Chris plays Steo, stalwart curmudgeon of the group, and owner of a spear with a perfectly satisfactory backstory.
You brought it on yourself this time, just for the record, chat. So the door. Ganderald was obviously enchanted by the door and kind of lapsed into sort of a only slightly condescending kind of lecture mode as he was describing the situation to us. In the middle of the door, there was a kind of conjoined triangle construction that looked like an hourglass, but with the sand kind of 50% of the way through. And he asked us what we thought that would mean, and Steele was like, "Oh, it's time, isn't it?" And Ganderald was like, but it represents a moment frozen in time. Can you think of what that would mean? And Steele didn't really even let the question sit, because based on what he'd seen in the place so far, he knew it meant love, a moment extended for eternity. And then shortcutting the secret password, which was Moria tier cryptographic security, said the name of the couple who lived there, and on saying the word Domo, the door opened up.
Absolutely.
Revealing, I think there were more stairs in a small anteroom, and then a large kind of squarcular corridor around some kind of cells is the wrong word, but very small rooms, and a large central room. At the far end, we kind of rejoined the corridor on the other side where the strange, invisible, not walking through here friend lived. And finally, we left it as we went into the center room and found what seems to have been a laboratory caught in some kind of conflagellation of explosion of some force had spread everything out and decimated the place.
I mean, it's entirely possible that force is time, but yes, absolutely, that is where we pick up. I've posted. Let's get the map up here. I think if we can, let me know if you struggle to find it. I put the link in the private chat, and let's see if we can get this fog of war map up thing here. Very people online, by the way. People online have mentioned the map, like in a sense of like, oh, you're using like a VTT now. Not really, I suppose, because this this site, as far as I know, is just for mapping. There's no like VTT beyond that in it. Let us know what you do think of this, because it's kind of an experiment. Usually we just do player mapping of stuff. Or in a sense where start again in a building where you can see everything. I usually just use the map from the book. When the players have to kind of explore, I tend to ask them to map it themselves. But I thought, you know, a lot of the time it's a shame not to use this really nice art that's from the books. And I thought I'd experiment and do a bit of like fog of war mapping stuff. I'd be really interested to know which one viewers prefer, and also which one the players prefer. But this is a bit of an experiment. Without going into spoilers, Witchhammer has a lot of these kind of maps, and I thought let's do it in this relatively low pressure test thing first. So we'll see what people think of it, but please do feedback which you prefer. Okay, so like Chris said, you've gone into this central room, the room labeled 15 there, and found yourself in the middle of an old wrecked laboratory. There isn't a lot of any kind of surviving equipment left in there. There's things scattered around. There's piles of detritus and twisted, decayed furniture. But we haven't actually searched anywhere yet, really. There's a door to either side of this room, as you can see, and then we can go out into the surrounding corridor. So, what are we doing?
I think I would like to search around a bit just to see if anything of value has been left more or less intact in the room.
Sure, absolutely. Why don't you give me a vigilance roll?
Okay. I need a 15. I rolled a 10, so I make it.
Okay. In amongst the considerable amount of wreckage that there is in there, the only things you find that look even vaguely intact are two urns, two clay urns that clearly once contained some kind of odd alchemical solution or elixir. They both have quite potent smells, and the inside of the clay is kind of like, has this patina around the side of it. These solutions have evaporated long ago, but they've left some kind of residue. That means absolutely nothing to Ascarai. And if you ask around, nothing significantly to your immediate companions. You would need you suspect to consult someone who might know something about alchemy. He said, quickly flicking to Ganderal's.
Yeah, I would definitely at least like offer them up to Gander. I'd be like, do you recognize these smells? What might have been in these things?
Ganderald sort of leans over and peers in and, well, some kind of, no, I'm sorry. It's possible, though. I know that some of these ancient containers, a truly experienced alchemist may be able to sort of reverse engineer the solutions inside from this slight residue. If I was you, I'd keep a hold on it. It may be of worth to an alchemist.
Okay, I'll take it with me just in case we run across an alchemist in our travels.
Absolutely. Where are we going from here? Ascarai, you're fairly confident that you searched this place pretty thoroughly. You know, there's not a lot in here because it's all just fallen apart.
Well, it doesn't seem like there's anything else to find in here. I guess the other door is our best option.
So just to refresh everyone, because my fog of war isn't terribly good on this map, unfortunately. Obviously, there's back the way you've come. There's a door you didn't take opposite the antechamber. There's also a door on the top wall of the rectangular corridor, and 1, 2, 3, 4 along the bottom wall, and one door just beneath the corridor that leads to that invisible stone golem thing. So there's quite a few doorways on this rectangular corridor.
I'm going to investigate the first of the 4 doors.
The first, as in the leftmost of of the map as we're looking at it.
Well, we came in from the right, so the rightmost.
The first one you encountered, in other
Yes.
words. Yeah, absolutely. So you can indeed take a look. Sorry, I'm just because I know there is something. No, maybe not. I'm terribly sorry. 1 second. I really tried to put these out in a very straightforward fashion, and then multiple times I've encountered issues of finding the right things.
Do you want me to take the screen down while you're...
No,
experimenting?
that's absolutely fine. I just seem to be just missing information, which isn't terribly like me, honestly. If it's your first time watching, you wouldn't know that, of course. I'm full of shit. I'm honestly absolutely baffled here. It's literally like some elements of my notes have just vanished, which isn't great at all. Yeah, like entire lines of my notes seem to have vanished.
I vote we roll on an Into the Odd encounter table.
Sure.
Let's run with it.
Better encounter the pain wires in this next room.
Not the pain
This is
wires.
actually super, super weird. It's entirely possible that I've entered some kind of alternate timeline here.
You've Mandela affected yourself.
Yeah, I've Mandela affected myself. I don't think I have. This is so like there's whole bits that I remember that just aren't here anymore. Well, this is going great.
You could try. You could try saving your current notes as a copy and then opening the old ones as a previous version and seeing if they've just disappeared at some point.
I think I've just found stuff.
Okay.
Oh my god. No, it's all my fault. It's all my fault. Yeah, it's all my fault. I've put things in entirely the wrong way. Okay, start again. For a given value of starting again. So I've also I've wrecked this to the point of awfulness. I'm just going to reveal that because I didn't do the individual rooms, which is stupid. I can literally see the viewer count ticking down as I continue talk here, like some kind of comedy awfulness. So, you know what, Arendar, you can investigate all those cells. I would say they're very small. They all have the doors open, and you can just kind of peek inside. Inside those doors, you find again little bits of wreckage, although not a huge amount. You also find a number of bones. They look odd, unusual, and definitely not entirely human. If you wanted, you could have a rummage of them and get more of a sense of them, but obviously just scattered bones without investigation just look like bones.
I do not rate my chances at all, but I think I'll give them a second look. They look a bit weird.
Sure. Can you give me a cunning roll, please?
No.
Yeah, you've got absolutely no idea.
Ascarai, come over here a second.
I will go over there for a second.
Have you seen anything like this before? Gesture towards the bones.
Well, you have beast law, don't you, Ascarai?
Yes, I do.
Well, why don't you give a cunning roll and give yourself a +3 to it?
Okay, I will need a 13. And I roll a 16, so I do not make it.
Yeah, you've got no idea. They just look like piles of bones to you.
Just a bunch of bones.
Bunch of weird bones.
So
and at that point,
I've got locked in here.
I'll probably draw a veil over further people rolling on it to avoid us just going through one by one. Yeah, they just look like weird bones. They are unusual, though. They don't look normal.
I don't know if this would count as part of the roll. Do they look like they've been chewed or anything?
No, nothing like
Okay.
that.
Flesh
More the-
crafters lived here, didn't they?
The size of them and the provenance of them. Gandrold kind of peeks around and says, there could be remains of quite unusual creatures here. Unique, even.
Creatures that grew this way or creatures that were shaped?
Either's possible, but given the reputation of Menandra Nayar, I'd say probably the latter.
Do these rooms, Matt, look like cells? Like, do they have
They
doors?
very much look like cells. The doors are hefty and wooden with little kind of barred windows in them. Yes.
All right. Experiments.
You start to like a couple, then you find out they have really weird hobbies.
At least they all seem to be long dead. I wouldn't like to run into any of these flesh-crafted abominations.
My partner and I have been watching you from across the flesh crafting laboratory. Yeah, so
I'm going to continue what is on this map clockwise.
yes, sure. So in other words, you are investigating this door.
Yes.
Correct? Yes. Well then, this also is a cell in exactly the same as the others. A scattering of odd bones on the floor. Nothing else to speak of.
Cool. Is there anything down the corridor this side of the frame that I know is kind of...
No, it's just an empty stone corridor leading up to that frame.
Sure.
So we've had some actions from 3 of you. Chris, why don't you choose the next place that Steer might investigate? Is the group getting a bit looser now that like nothing has pounced on you and you can't hear anything down here?
I think having noticed we're maybe spreading out a bit, I'll kind of return a bit of discipline to the group. It's like, I'm not sure we should be so casual. Please stick together. But I'll cross clockwise, continuing the loop, and see what I can find on the top half of the corridor, just above point 18 there.
Absolutely. So there is no door straight in. Basically, there is a door on the top part of the corridor. Do you want to open that up and see what's in there?
Yes, gingerly.
Okay. You find yourself in 2 larger linked rooms there. And the first one that you go into, it has, wreckage indicating perhaps your best guess would be some form of maybe office of some description. It has a couple of what seem to be kind of study tables, and like a little bookshelf on the wall that's long collapsed. The room further over, like a small empty doorway leads you through to, is almost certainly the remains of some form of library. Lots of wrecked bookshelves, the decayed and tattered remnants of scrolls and books, and that's about it in this room, really. Gandrold makes an interested noise and starts poking around, and quite swiftly makes a disappointed noise, as it appears that most, if not all, of the lore here has long gone to the forces of entropy.
Is there anything to be salvaged, Gandrold? We're still $100 down on this little boondoggle.
I mean, just from having a quick look around, I don't see anything, but these places often have something hidden or things you find, and I mean, without a concerted search, depends how long you want to stay here.
Can I roll witch sight?
Yes, sure.
Essentially just looking for anything that stands out in the environment. So
sure. I mean, it would have to be something mystical in some fashion to stand out.
No,
but yeah.
Precisely that. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's vigilant against. Is there any modifier? Or?
There is no modifier.
Okie dokie. I need a 10. I get a 20.
Yeah. you don't see anything. I'm not going to botch, so you think there's a monster lurking in the corner or something. Your witch sight maybe feels almost slightly dulled in this area. Perhaps it's something to do with the almost dampening sensation you got when you came down here of all the noises were slightly dulled. Maybe there is some force at work here, or it could simply be that today is not your day.
Sure. Okay.
As you can see, there is another little door in this room here. Did we want to search further, or?
I'll give that one. I'll give the door a poke.
Sure. It opens fairly easily, and beyond is what appears to be. If this room was a library, perhaps this room was an archive, because it has sort of similar decayed scrolls and books, but all much more stored in like large boxes, as if presumably the occupant frequented the library often, but after things became obsolete or had been read, they've been condemned to these large crates. Again, the crates are mostly full of tatters of old paper and hide.
I think this might be our best part to start searching concertedly for something of worth down here. But I propose we go and finish our map, I suppose, understand what we're dealing with.
Okay. So I take it I mean, that is just Steve's suggestion, obviously, but are we going back to the beginning here and investigating what's in this top right corner?
Yes. Well, that's
Yes.
what I assume Steo's going to do, and Alindra's going
Yeah.
to follow.
Sure, absolutely. So, retreating back with sort of only softly echoing footsteps in this cool, dark underground basement, you find yourself essentially in a room dominated by a huge kind of clay and brick oven. It does not look like it was used for cooking, put it that way. The entrance to it is very large, and there is an ancient and crumpled pile of very deep black and grey ashes at the base underneath a large sort of grilling surface. Lots and lots and lots of things were burnt here by the look of it. There is also a doorway which you can kind of open up and quite easily see that this other room here that isn't labeled seems to be one of these storage rooms like you had beyond the frame. So not a great deal in there either.
Gandro, do you have any idea what this might be?
The oven?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it was probably, if there's a laboratory here, experimentation. Both of those things lead to waste.
I was going to say waste disposal.
You think alchemy or you think cremation?
I think cremation. Can you
looks to
tell
me.
from the ashes?
Oh, I can have a brief look. He sort of leans in and pokes around. I mean, if I was a betting man, I'd say it was organic material. But it's been so
What
long.
casinos do you go to?
There's something at the back of the oven there.
Let me take a look.
All right.
I will take a look before I reach my hand in and get it bitten off by the oven beast. But
I mean, it's alerts that whatever it is deep and, pushed to the back of the oven there. Could you give me a vigilant roll at let's say -2? Nope.
alas, no.
Yeah, you can't see. You're going to have to kind of basically half get into it to reach over and grab it. When I say it's something, it does look like something distinct. It's not like you're reaching over and flicking the switch that turns on the oven. That would be exceptionally poor design. It's something that looks like maybe something man-made that's sat just behind the grill there at the back of the.
Do you know what? I've been in Davokar too long. I know what's going on here. I'm going to get my emergency backup spear and use to try and hoke it out without
To try and sure,
losing an arm to it.
Why don't you give me an accurate roll for that? A rare example of an accurate roll that isn't about melee or combat in general. Can't see it. Can't see that. Sorry.
It is a full natural 20.
Yeah, you poke something, and you hear something kind of tip over, and sort of tinkle. Like there's a little kind of tinkling noise as if something has fallen into the ashes.
I've done an Alindra.
I beg your pardon.
Sorry, I have encountered an entirely unrelated mishap and may have destroyed something valuable.
I didn't destroy anything, Steo.
You don't know what it is?
Is anyone
There was
going to
something-
just hop in and try and get whatever remains of what's
Yeah, I think at this point, it's lost leader. I'm going to awkwardly get in and take my ashen
Sure.
punishment.
You do that, and there is no sudden kind of like roaring flame or anything like that, so you're doing perfectly fine. What you find at the back of the oven is an old scorched clay bowl. And could you roll a d12 for me, please?
That's a 10.
Okay, that's not bad, you know. Well, inside, there seems to be, as you kind of get it out a bit more into the light of the torch, there seems to be a collection of 10 golden teeth, 2 of which are long and pointed like fangs.
Golden teeth for a flesh-crafted creature. What was going on here?
It goes without saying, they seem to be solid gold teeth. They're probably worth something.
At least that's a few thala right there. Whatever it was.
I'll check. So you said after the tinkling, they're saying that something got deposited into the ash pile beneath. Is that the case?
Mhm. Yeah,
I'll go and
suspect it. On looking at these teeth, you suspect from the sound it was more of these teeth. You could certainly try and remove the grill and sift through the ashes. It's not a small thing to do. It might be a bit time consuming, but you can give it a go.
I think I've done enough damage here. I think Gandalf and Ascarai, between the two of you, should go and look over the archive. There might be something preserved there. Archives are for preservation, are they not?
That's true. It must be worth a look. I mean, we paid 100 thala to be here. I feel like we need to investigate every room to the fullest extent we can.
Gandalf nods and says, "I'm happy to. I mean, on that topic, it is worth noting that they were digging in the places where there was dirt above. Whether they were onto something or they were just reluctant to leave, having not been able to come down here, I don't know."
I wonder what they find. That maybe. Yeah, we'll take a look while we still have some daylight. But I think if there's nothing in the rest of this complex, then we have had a bad day.
It sounds like that leaves it down to either Arendar or I to see if we can extract some more teeth from this ash.
I'll give it a try.
We need to recoup some of this value somehow.
I'll give you a hand with the grill then. It's going to be a 2-person lift, I think.
I think it's safe to say that we can produce another torch from somewhere. So we might have to return upstairs to the donkeys to get the supplies for it. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna pause briefly to take my armor chest piece off because I don't want to get that all ashy. But yeah,
sure. So how are we? How are we doing this? Sorry, are we? Oh, you know what? You've all got your adventure. Have you all got your backpacks on you?
Yeah,
right.
definitely have come into a.
Okay, I don't think we need to go back up to the donkey then. That's absolutely fine. So with that in mind, then it seems like Ascarai and Gandalf are going to investigate the library and the archive, and the others are going to try and perform a bit of teeth rescue here in this oven. So let's do that one first, because I think it's not necessarily a particularly awful task. I mean, it's unpleasant, but not particularly challenging. Elindra and Stia, why don't you both give me a strong roll, please, to see if you can remove this grill?
Sure. Unmodified?
Yeah.
Oh, I needed a 15 and I got a 16.
Well, luckily, it seems like Stio has stepped into the breach. Stio, let's say that when you were crawling around in there, you saw where there was a latch on the side. And Alindra, while very strong, has been kind of pulling against, a latch that is holding it into the side of the oven. You reach in, flick that open, and between the two of you, you wrench out this this grill, and it clatters to the floor with, again, a muted metallic sound. Arindar, I believe you were volunteering to remove a bit of your armor and then clamber into these ashes. Was that the idea?
I think I was going to try and scrape some of the ash out with a shovel first, just to make it a little bit easier to get in.
Shovel with you in your pack?
I think I remember getting one at some point in one of my I'm going on an adventure journeys.
Brought it down here, like strapped to the side of your pack. Yeah, sure. Well, you can, while you spend your time clearing some of that ash out onto the floor of this kind of furnace chamber, why don't we catch up with Askarai and Ganderald? So you've headed back towards the library and the archive. Askarai, tell me, how are you conducting this search?
I think probably mostly in the archive, maybe just looking through the boxes that there are, seeing if any boxes seem to have, be more well preserved, like kept out of the damp or anything like that might still have things of value in them.
Yeah. Even a cursory examination of the archive tells you that all these wooden crates that these volumes were in have all given way to the damp and the elements over time. You can't see anything particularly, that gives you any sense of hope about the storage in this archive room, really. I mean, not even the library to a certain degree, but it's up to you whether you want to spend more time kind of investigating in other kind of ways for, secrets or things about the room you may not have noticed or whatever. And that's something we can do in every room, if you want to. The old check for secrets or whatever, but it's up to you how much time you want to spend down here.
I mean, Askarai feels like they pay a lot of money. They have all the time in the world to investigate every nook and cranny of this place. I think for sure, if it seemed like if they looked through every box and every box is damp and ruined, he'd for sure take a look at like the walls and the doorways and see if there's anything like any hidden passageways. That doesn't seem like something that he would be like very shocked to find in a tomb like this in Davokar. So worth checking into at the very least.
Well, why don't you give me a vigilant roll then, please?
Okay, I will need a 15.
And this is the archive room you're doing this in, right?
Yeah, this is the archive room. At least it's out. I rolled a 5, so I did make the vigilant roll.
Yeah, there's nothing that you can locate.
Okay, I think in that case, probably I'd talk to Ganderald and look through the libraries and kind of do the same thing in the library rooms while everyone else is doing their stuff.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, again, there's nothing that gives you any particular hope from sifting through the remains in the library. Can you give me a vigilant roll again, please?
Okay, I rolled a 10, so I do make it.
Okay, and is your vigilant 15?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. On one of the walls, the north wall, in fact, which is the wall flat, kind of leading to the archive, while you're kind of like rummaging around it and kind of, maybe patting the wall down a bit and taking a look for scrapes on the floor, kind of telltale signs that things are not what they should be, you find a small bit of stone on the wall that looks like kind of polished marble. And as you're kind of taking a look at it and brushing some soil around it, it makes a clicking noise. And for a second, you kind of freeze,
Yes.
And then a brick or a couple of bricks kind of like pop loose on the wall. And they're so old that they are crumbling and they half kind of fall out of the slot that they're in. And behind that, is what appears to be a large metal box embedded into the wall, like a very rudimentary safe.
Okay, I think I would definitely call Gandalf over to have a look before trying to touch this or grab it or anything.
Oh, what a find. Wonderful. Do we just take it out?
And may be dangerous somehow if it's to protect valuable items. Who knows what kind of contraptions there are to protect it. Perhaps it would be worthwhile to bring the rest of the party here and take a look together at the very least.
Perhaps so. I don't see any other mechanism, but it doesn't hurt, I suppose. Shall I go get them?
Yeah, let's go round everyone up.
Okay. He kind of leaves. Do you go with him as well?
Yeah, I'll go with him.
Okay. Arendar, can you give me a vigilant -4 roll, please?
I was maybe the wrong person to do this. I was the wrong person to do this. I did not make it.
Yeah, you do not find any sign of further golden teeth in the vast, deep pile of ashes.
Right. Alindra, Steo,
Yes.
could you maybe grab my ankle and pull?
Yeah. I do so.
I emerge incredibly dirty and just shake my head. There's no sign, I'm afraid.
Right.
I think we've earned a bit of lunch.
At this point, Askar and Ganderald come into the furnace room.
We found something. Seems like a place where something valuable might be kept, but it was well hidden. Perhaps there's some kind of protective mechanisms to it. I don't know if you want to come and take a look.
Of course we want to come and take a look.
That sounds more promising than fishing through the furnace for teeth.
No luck on the teeth front.
No.
None.
I think we got both the front teeth, actually.
You all make your way back through to the library. Obviously, this little compartment is as I've described it.
So, myself and Alindra were just maybe contemplating the idea of getting above ground and having some lunch. Should we take this box with us?
Let's.
Sure. I'm going to reach forward and cautiously try and pull this box out of its place in the wall.
Sure. Nothing happens. So you manage to take the box out. It just has like a lid that, flips up quite easily if you want to take a peek inside, or are you waiting till you get upstairs?
I think I'd take a peek.
If I see him going for it, I kind of put my hand on top of the box and go, the people here were alchemists. If I was to make a trap, I'd be putting poison in the box, and I'd rather have that outside than inside.
Okay, we'll open it outside.
Okay. So we're going and heading upstairs as the light is probably dimming or starting to dim. You guess it's probably late afternoon. So I guess we're heading up the stairs with the box, kind of carrying the box up and out the door and up to maybe camp for the evening and lunch. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I think at least outside the inn. Just outside.
Yeah, sure.
Outside the building.
Sure. So, as you are heading up, what I would... you know what? I think I'll just randomize it. Yeah, why not? Let's say that's Ascarai carrying the box, presumably. And Elindra, and then Arindar. So Steo and Ganderold bringing up the rear. So I would like, please, for the people I just mentioned, so everyone but Steo, essentially, I would like everyone to roll Vigilant +1. No from Elindra. Yes from Arindar.
Yep.
Yes from Ascarai. Okay. Let's say that Elindra is like the third in line there and is just kind of like trudging up, like looking down. Ascarai and Arindar, you both emerge out into the upstairs ruin. And before anything happens, both of you can catch a glimpse of the figures stood in the open windows aiming arrows at you. And you get to take an action before those arrows get loosed.
How much of action does it cost me to put the box on the floor?
I'd say you can. I'm happy for you to drop it and then take an action. You know what I mean?
Okay, I wouldn't want to just chuck chuck the box down. If it takes me more action,
if it's placing down, that's going to be your action. Yeah, I think so.
I think that, and maybe like saying there's people at the windows. It would be my turn.
Absolutely. How about you, Arindar?
I would similarly shout something about being careful with the windows, and I would draw my weapons and move. If they're aiming through the window, then I would like to move towards them, but not in front of the window, if that makes sense. I want to get close to them, but not.
Yeah, find yourself in cover from the arrow fire.
Yes.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Then you do that. You can kind of like. Did you say you were drawing a weapon as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. You draw your sword and kind of dive over to be out of sight of anyone in those window areas. And as you do that, there is a battle cry, and 3 individuals armed with spiked clubs, recognizable as 3 of the treasure hunters you gave 100 thala to, dive kind of through the side doors towards you, while the other 2 take aim with their bows. So, shall we please go into some initiative? Obviously, it's the usual character order. Just throw Ganderald in at the end, please. And the treasure hunters are at it's quick first, isn't it? Then vigilant. Yes.
Yep.
Quick 10 and vigilant 13, please, John.
Can I just
vigilant 13?
Can I just check, Matt, while John sets that up? I'm just trying to picture where we are. Like, we came up the spiral staircase into the tower area.
And you are in that tower area now. You
Okay.
literally, the 3 of you emerged up from the stairs and they sprang the ambush.
Okay, so and then they're basically up on the first floor, like where the bedrooms were, pointing down into the tower area.
That's a good idea. Yeah, they're there. I was just going to say they're in the like part of the edge of the tower area is just collapsed. And I was going to say they're in those gaps, but that makes a lot more sense for the archers to be up there. So yeah,
sorry. Okay, but you were going to say they were like outside the building.
Yeah, they're basically outside the bit. But you know what? It actually does make a lot more sense for them to be
infiltrated while we were downstairs.
Yeah, because they're up those sections where you looked out and you could look down into the tower area, right? So the 2 archers are up there, but the 3 rushing you are like just rushing in from the main area of the building.
I feel so great for asking that question. Thanks for
clarifying. Great job, Steve.
Okay. Now, obviously, we have that sequence, that sort of order of people there. But the treasure hunters will get to take an action first, to take an attack first. Go on, John.
Is that how you spell Ganderald?
I think so. Yeah. Oh no, it's
Good.
Ganderold.
Oh, okay.
So an E in the middle, it's sort of the middle A, please. So these treasure hunters, the ones obviously the ones with the bows can't fire at Aaron. So I'm just going to say that, like, let's just split it evenly. One of them's firing at Askarai and one of them's firing at Alindra. Steo and Ganderold are still kind of halfway down the stairs. So Askarai, can you roll defense? Ooh, first combat of Witchhammer. Can you roll defense, please, at a -1?
Yes, I think my defense is 15. Yes, I need a 14 or less. I rolled a 4, so I make it.
Okay, yeah, you duck to one side to put the box down, and the arrow goes wild. Alindra, also a defense at -1, please.
Sure. So I need a 12. I get 9.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to judge that for that. Just literally, the arrow just impacts onto your armor and just shatters. They're not well-made arrows whatsoever. They're really, like, you can see they're hunting arrows. They're not arrows made for shooting down humans. So, yeah,
Cool.
You can feel a bit confident, I think. And as the three of them rush in, I'm just going to again say that all three of them go for one of each of you. I think that's perfectly fine. So, Askarai, do you want to give me your defense? Again, I get defense at -1 for the one who's rushed to engage you.
Okay. I need a 14. I rolled a 16, so I do not make it.
Okay, then an armor roll, please.
This is 2d4 because I have my cloak. I rolled a 6.
Okay, so the kind of snarling treasure hunter rushes you, mouth open to reveal rotting teeth and bad breath. The spiked club kind of half snags on your lindworm cloak and just sort of like brushes against you basically and doesn't really do anything. So you've gone away with that one. Ilindra and defense at -1, please.
Defense at -1. That is a pass. And how's this going to work if they've stepped into combat range with me?
Well, you don't have your sword drawn.
This is a good point. Okay.
So, yeah, again, this club just smashes into like one of your shoulder guards and doesn't really do anything.
Sure.
Aaron, can you roll defense at -1, please? And then I believe you might get a counter attack, right?
I do. Yes. So I needed a 13. I rolled an 8. So now I will roll to hit. I roll damage at the same time.
And their defense is a +1. They're wielding a spiked club and a shield. So
that means instead of my target being a 16, it's a 17? Right. There. I rolled 16. So that's
there
good.
we go either way. Roll yourself some damage then, please.
12 on a d12.
Okay. Well, that definitely goes through their pain threshold. So do you want to knock them prone or get another strike?
I will get another strike.
Mm-hmm. Then roll yourself that again, please.
That is directly on target and 9 damage.
Okay, yeah. So let me just take a look at some of this. So yeah, the kind of individual rushes you, kind of a tall, lanky individual who is sort of has very greasy hair and a pockmarked face. He's grinning wildly at you, and that grin stays on his face as you dodge to the side, thrust twice, and he topples to the floor, still grinning but somewhat vacantly as he lets out a cough and goes still. These are not expert assailants. So let's go to our actual order here. Askarai, I'm assuming the first action you're taking is to draw your knife.
Yeah, I have a sword now that I got off the Black Cloak. My my fencing sword. It's a very good sword. I will draw that, and can I draw that and attack in the same turn?
Yeah, I think so. You can use your movement to draw, right, and then your combat action to attack. So yes,
so I will do that. And it has precise, so it makes it more likely to hit. And I'll use my feint, which basically gives me advantage. Which I feel like that gave me +2 to hit, but I can't remember.
Advantage is +2, yeah. So you've got their +1 from their defense, a +2, and then your precise is another +1, right? So
yeah, so that's
+4 altogether.
Doesn't also use a different stat to roll.
He uses discreet.
Yeah, he's got discreet attack with melee.
So I need a 17 or less. My discreet is 13, and I rolled a 15, so I make it. And then the damage is a D8 +1 and a D4 for the feint, which is 12. A 7 or 4 +1.
Again, that very much goes over their pain threshold. Do you want to knock him prone or have another attack?
One thing that I've thought of is, I don't know if I can use feint twice. And I think I can. It's a passive, not an active, apparently.
Then yeah, you should be able to.
As long as you aren't using any other passives, which you're not. So yeah.
Okay, then I will attack again.
Was the extra D4 from the advantage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do another feint attack. So I need a 17 again. I rolled a 9, so it hits. And the damage is 10.
Okay. So as this individual readies their club for another swing, you just with your feint kind of jab a little with this new fencing sword of yours. He leaps to one side with a kind of thinking he's kind of got the step on you, but this just allows you to step inside his guard and run that fencing sword through his torso once and then twice again. They are wearing very limited sort of studded leather armor, and your blade just slips through it with no more resistance than if you were stabbing snow. He gives out a horrible death rattle, breathing that rather unpleasant breath in your face one last time, and then you're briefly kind of locked almost in an embrace together as you drive the point home, and then he collapses and topples down the stairs and past Ganderold and Steo. Elindra, I've got the feeling it's not going to end well for this third attacking treasure hunter.
Well, let's see. So I'm going to draw my sword, and then I'm going to push it through my assailant's body.
What? So yeah, that's an attack at a +1.
Okie dokie. So I need a 15. I roll an 11. So damage is a D12 for the sword. It's only a 2.
Oh wow, okay. You draw your sword, and let's say maybe that your sword takes a little bit to draw because it's a long sword, and you don't have the kind of full impetus of your swing behind it as you bring it through the air. And you know what? That studded leather weirdly does the job. It's the angle you caught it at or the force of the strike, but either way, you just draw a kind of scored line across this individual's chest, a kind of a large woman with frizzy hair who just sort of like looks down in shock and surprise at the no damage you've seemingly done to her and hefts her club for another strike. Arindar.
I've sort of lost the mental map, but can I get to the archers?
Not well. You can start, but you're going to have to basically run through the tower, which you absolutely can do, and start going up the stairs to the upper area, and then run round. I'd say it's probably at least 2 full turns of running, but you can make a start on it.
I think I will instead attack the woman who is fighting Alindra.
Sure, absolutely. Therefore, flanking, which means we have learned, folks, you both get flanking against her. So yeah, go ahead and make your attack at a +3.
3? Yep.
Yep.
Oh my god, the only thing I could have rolled to not hit.
Is that a 20?
Yes.
Well, now, 20, that is a fumbled hit. So you take an attack from the target, and here's where it gets complicated, because obviously that means she'll probably miss, and you'll get another attack because you have the counterattack thing. But nevertheless, roll your defense -1, please.
-1. That is a pass.
Okay. And does your counterattack apply not on your turn, right?
Let me see. It just says it's a reaction. So the adept level says after 1 successful defense per turn, and then I've got the master that says no limits per number of turn.
Okay, so you have
So
got
I
the
think
master. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fine.
so I
then.
think it's
Go ahead and attack then.
right. Right, that's better. 7 damage.
7 damage. Okay. That doesn't trigger the pain threshold, but what it does is she kind of tries to wheel round to face you as well, and like flails out with that club. You dodge to one side and slash at her arm, leaving kind of a long score of blood rushing from her upper arm and kind of coating her good clubbing arm.
I need to roll another d4 because I was flanking.
You were flanking, yes.
Add another 4 damage to that. So that would be 7.
That would go over their pain threshold now. God damn it, John.
Sorry.
Okay, are you making another attack?
Yes.
Don't make me narrate something.
I'm sorry.
Make what I narrate not happen.
I just forgot about the rule that we always forget about.
Yeah. I am tempted sometimes in these streams to start, like, if people forget a rule, we just go, yeah, okay, move on.
It's fair.
Like, yeah, you didn't take advantage of the, you didn't, Aaron didn't take advantage, or whatever, but go on.
6 damage.
6 damage. Okay. You know what? The thing I said with the arm does happen, and then you follow that up with a slash kind of across the side of her head, and it leaves quite a deep wound, but not a mortal one. And she kind of like sort of staggers back, kind of like trying to mop the blood that's like rushing from her head. She looks at the very edge of unconsciousness.
I will, as I deliver the final strike, as she staggers back, I will shout, "Yield!"
You know what? She is going to kind of drop her club and say, please, no more. And kind of like topple backwards against a wall and kind of like just kind of try and start clambering out of the ruin.
Stay where you are.
She sort of wails and kind of stays where she is, or at least is clambering more slowly. It's their turn now. And you know what? I think at the sight of this, the 2 archers are going to flee. I I don't see why they would stay. You also, all of you who are up there, everyone who's up there, so not Steo again, can you roll vigilant, say a -3?
Oh, I passed.
Nope.
So everyone who passes hears a gruff voice swearing vociferously, and hears a set of fast footsteps kind of leading basically from over where the doorway is to the main chamber. You hear like a set of footsteps kind of pounding furiously on the stone and retreating. So another individual. It's worth noting you have not in this assault seen the leader of the treasure hunters, Lamando. And the archers are fleeing. The woman who remains has obviously yielded. I think we can go outside of initiative. What's everyone doing?
Immediately giving chase.
To who you think is Lamando, I'm assuming.
Yeah, like are they all kind of headed out in the same direction, essentially?
I mean, the archers you can't really see. They presumably must be, unless they're going to leap down from the upper floor. They must be kind of going down the steps and out of the front.
Yeah, I think like I don't know. I can't really get a sense of who I'm most likely to catch from here, but Elindra's very much in the mood that we're getting our 100 thaler back.
Sure, absolutely. Well, why don't you give me? Let's see. Let's have an opposed quick roll here. I think. Okay. And their quick is 10, so it's just a straight up quick roll.
Cool, I need a 13. I get a 2.
Okay. So I'm going to say, yeah. So you kind of dash out of the doorway into kind of the main, I suppose the main entrance hall with the big steps leading upwards, and you see one of the archers like appear at the top of the stairs and then kind of stop and go and dash back off somewhere into the upper chambers. You also see Lamando absolutely hot-footing it out of the front of the ruin. Are you going to pursue either of them, and if so, which one?
I'm going to shout to the others to say the archers are trapped upstairs. Get them, and I'm going to follow Lamando.
Okay. So while this is happening, what are the other people doing?
So the second floor of the ruined chamber, are we talking like very high ceiling, or could I kind of boost someone up there?
Yeah, someone could be boosted up there for sure. Yeah.
Askrai, going up?
I want Lamando. I think Askrai is gonna be. Askrai wants to chase after Lamando and shoot him.
Okay, so you're kind of going with Elindra, essentially. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Steo, it doesn't seem like Askarai's going up.
Okay. Aaron and Garibaldo?
Ganderald.
Yeah, let's just go out the front carefully.
I mean, you could try and boost Aaron up if Aaron wants to go up to the top.
Do you want to go up, Aaron?
I feel like Aaron quite possibly.
You don't strike me as the climbing sword.
I love climbing. Well,
I'm not entirely sure we can have this discussion and still potentially get to them.
Well, okay. What I'll do is I'll give him a look, like, and offer him kind of the crossed hands of a boost. And if he wants to go, I'm here for the yeet. I will yeet the noble.
Sure.
I will be yeeted.
Okay. I don't see Aaron as a particularly hefty chap. Can you give me a strong roll at -2, please, Steo?
I don't know if it. Obviously, the mechanics don't directly factor in, but I do have 2 levels of acrobatics as well.
Oh, I'd say they very much do. And you know what? Like, yeah, that's fine. With that roll, that's altogether fine. Aaron Dar, you are lifted up and kind of scramble up a protruding stone block and find yourself up at the top of, this upper floor of the ruin. and sort of ahead of you, you can see like the large upper chamber where the stairs come up. You can see one archer kind of freeze at the top of the steps, looking down and go, oh, and start running away from you, although he doesn't seem to have seen you. The other archer, you just see the back of them as they leap from a gap in the wall to the outside. You hear like a thud and a cry of pain. Ascarai, can you give me that quick roll, please, to see if you have effectively kind of caught up with Alindra?
Okay, my quick is 10. I rolled 17.
Yeah, no. So you are a bit behind Alindra, so you're going to have to. But then you're firing an arrow as opposed to trying to catch him, so it might turn out all right. So I feel like we should go back to Alindra next. So Alindra, can you give me another quick roll, please?
Sure. Any modifiers?
No.
Cool. I need a 13. I get an 8.
Okay. You dash out of that front door, and you do it quickly enough that he's basically Lamando is at the foot of the stairs leading from the ruin, really not a long way from you at all. You suspect with another, as long as you keep up your speed, you will probably actively catch up with him. I'm assuming that's what you'll be looking to do when we come back to you next.
Yeah, no conversation, no warnings. Just I'm going after him.
Absolutely. Okay, upstairs we have Arindar. What are you going to do? That one archer has leapt from the top of the ruin. I mean, not the very top. You know, it's definitely a survivable jump, but you'd have to know what you're doing, really. And the other one is kind of like just vanishing into a room opposite where you are, presumably to do a similar thing.
I'm going to assume that the one that jumped from the window is probably not going to be in fighting condition.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give chase to the one that disappeared through the room.
Sure. Could you give me a quick roll, please?
Yes. Where's my quick there? Pass.
Okay. Yeah, you dash forwards and enter into the room opposite in time to see that archer also leap from a gap in the wall down to the floor. I'd say, given you that you succeeded with your quick, though, let's say you have the opportunity to either try to grab him or to push him off balance.
I'm going to try and grab him.
Okay. Let's have an opposed strength roll there then, please. So, their strong is 15. So, strong at -5, please.
Oof. Okay. Oh, I pass. Needed a 5 and I got a 3.
There we go. Yeah, you kind of take a couple of bounds over and just basically like bear hug the guy and crash to the floor with him while holding on to him. So you've got him in a grip now. Ascarai, can you give me another quick roll, please?
Yep. Need a 10. I rolled a 1.
Ooh. Well, then, I would say that you have dashed out of the front of the room, and I'm going to give you a shot right now.
Nice. Are there any modifiers?
I would say it's the normal +1 defense, but I'm going to actually knock that off by -1. He is running away in more or less a straight line, but he's still running at top speed, and that will have some effects, right? So go ahead and take a shot.
Okay, I'm going to use my new Hunter's Instinct, which is a special. The hunter points a target in sight and gets a second chance to succeed with all ranged attacks against it. The target is appointed when the character makes an attack against it and lasts until the prey dies or the scene ends.
Nice.
So I'm going to use that.
Well, what Ascarai needed is a better chance to hit things.
Exactly. No, I was not good enough with my bow. Now, hopefully things will be balanced, perfectly balanced. So I need a 15 to hit. And I rolled a 16, but I can try again.
Ooh. Coming in useful already.
I rolled a 1.
See, I
F's in
see that
chat,
as like
please.
literally like one arrow misses, and then you just kind of mutter to yourself and take slightly better aim and
Just
just
Legolas out a
hold
second
the bow
arrow.
like that. But,
That's something about 100 Thala.
yeah,
Take that,
absolutely. Well then, get that damage roll with an extra d6, please. Also, you're at a height, so take advantage. So
Can I also use my armor ignoring thing?
Let me that hunter's mark thing. So did it? It said it was a special, right?
Yeah, that's what it says. That's what it says where I'm looking. That's special.
The ability works in a special way. Okay, I think that special actions can't be done the same time as active actions. And I think both your others are active actions, right?
Definitely the ignoring armor is an active.
Yeah. That's how I'm interpreting this. If anyone watching wants to disagree, but that's how I read this. So we'll go with. I mean, I don't think you necessarily need help. Either way. So yeah, damage is a D4, a D6, and whatever your damage is. Yeah.
A D10, and I roll 13 plus. Do I get? I think I get +1 on damage. So 14.
Oh, is that the hunter's instinct?
It's my composite bow.
Right. Okay. So that's 14. Well, unsurprisingly, Askarai, that is over his pain threshold. Do you want to knock him prone, or do you want to take another shot? That's actually quite a good question in this circumstance, isn't it?
Yeah. Elindra seems hot on his heels. I think Askarai would enjoy taking this guy alive, at least for now. I think I'm going to knock him prone.
Okay. So it was a total of 14 damage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how much he's got left. Okay. Yeah. Your arrow basically sinks into the base of his spine, and he kind of pinwheels before crashing into a heap on the ground. He's kind of trying to pick himself up and sort of groaning in agony, but he ain't going anywhere. Not for now, at least. While all this is happening, Stio, what are you doing? Because you just boosted someone up.
Yeah, I'm going to go and make sure Ganderald's okay. I'm also going to go and tend to our prisoner. And by tend, I mean truss up and also stop them from dying.
Sure. I think I would like you, however, because we didn't really pay attention to her for a couple of actions there. So I would like Stio, you to roll quick against and it's a flat thing. So roll quick in order to grab her before she kind of like slides out of this gap in the wall.
That's a success.
Yeah, you do it. She's trying to get away and kind of like shaking and begging for her life, but you just drag her back inside the ruin, you hero. I believe you were going to try and see that she doesn't immediately bleed out, right?
Yeah, I was going to just kind of not hog tie her, but definitely secure her and then do a little medicus roll. Absolutely no herbal cures will be wasted on this.
Sure, one. Yeah. We'll go ahead and make a cunning roll.
Yep,
she's definitely faint and has lost a lot of blood, but she's not immediately in danger of dying. Arindar, what are you doing with this archer now you've wrestled him to the ground?
I don't think I thought that far ahead. So I'm just going to shout, yield?
I don't think he's going to yield. I think we're going to roll another opposed strength roll if you're not doing anything else but shouting yield. As he tries to get you off him, essentially.
I think Aaron's slightly surprised that he managed to grab him. So I don't have any great plan lined up.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you give us an opposed strength roll at -5 then, please?
Oh, I was one off.
Yeah, he, with a kind of heave of his body, throws you off him, and then he just rolls out of the gap and plummets to the ground beneath. Again, you hear a thud and a cry of pain.
Ooh.
Are you kind of? You could do a little movement action if you want, or are you kind of giving this up as? I mean, what do you want to do about this?
How far is the drop from the window?
It's probably around 10 feet. A not insignificant drop.
But I think with an amount of acrobatic skill, I think I'm more confident of my ability to jump out the window than
Sure.
these guys.
I guess at this point, it's a question for the group. What's the game plan here? Are we taking them all
Yeah, that's a
prisoner?
good point.
Are we binding them and slitting their throats like heroes? Like, what is the game plan in tracking them down?
I think I'm going to give up the chase.
Sure. Like,
I
don't
think-
get me wrong. 100 Thala. Like, I get why we're chasing Lamando here, but what? Like, is there any rationale behind trying to get these two archers before they dash off into Davakar, maybe alone, and Davakar does the job for you? I don't know. You could do what you want, but rather before we spend the next half hour running through the woods after the archers, what is the game plan?
I mean, Alindra has opinions on this, but she's not in the same place as everyone else and doesn't have the time to express them. So
Sure.
Aaron's opinion at this point might be they're retreating. Everyone is dealing with Lamando. There's, it's not honorable to try and fight a running away person unless you've got something serious on the line. So
Sure.
Aaron's going to back off.
By the way, me saying this is in no way telling you not to chat. It's just
It's fair.
I just want to know why we're doing this before we invest a lot of time into it. That's all. Okay, so is Aaron giving that one up?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna head. Actually, I'm running a mental maths, and I'm gonna do a quick search of the upstairs to see if there's anyone else up here.
Sure, absolutely. Bear in mind that your mental maths might be influenced by my not remembering how many there were meant to be.
That's fair.
Yeah. How many were there?
He said he had 7 people inside, but
Oh,
he
yeah.
might have been lying to make him sound
He was
more
lying.
impressive.
He was lying. He was lying.
But
He was
Aaron
just
doesn't know
lying.
that.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, you take a look around. Elindra, I have a suspicion what's happening now. But why don't you tell us?
well, Alindra is entirely focused on catching up with Lamando and
you can as I thought. Yeah. You kind of like can pace up to him easily now. He's trying to claw away and get his feet kind of underneath him and just going, fuckers, little fuckers. Ugh.
You shouldn't have come back.
He gives out a cry and shakes on the end of your blade, which you feel kind of through the handle, and then goes limp on the ground with the killing blow.
Cool. I
He
will
has a pouch at his belt that looks
Oh.
very familiar.
take the pouch.
Mm-hmm. Got 100 Thala in it.
Fantastic. I will make my way back towards the building.
Sure. In which case, I think everyone is like, I think we can reconcile ourselves back in the tower room where Stio has a prisoner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be kind of as you enter, I'll be addressing the prisoner and going, "What possessed you? You saw we were armed with plates. What madness!"
We were armed as well. Lamando said we had the upper hand because we had a surprise. Please, I didn't want to fight. You just I do what he says.
Not anymore, you don't. I got our Thala back.
Good job.
Then you've got your revenge, right? You don't need me. I didn't even hurt you.
Revenge? You attacked us.
I
She
don't
doesn't
see
particularly
the reason.
look like she's capable of this rather shallow mental leap of who did what to who at the moment.
I don't think we need to spill any more blood today. I mean, she'd be lucky if she makes it halfway back to Thistlehold before she dies.
She's going to start crying.
Maybe we can get her back towards the road, see if we can find someone to take her back, hand her into the guards.
The guards?
No, please, not the guards.
We're halfway to Carvosti. You'd be very lucky if even the Queen's Rangers are out this far.
Did you kill them all?
I think so. We don't tend to leave things unfinished, and we don't tend to make mistakes.
I'll look to the others. I'll look to Aaron.
The archers jumped out the windows.
Oh, please.
Okay, look, this is a low-threat environment, Aaron, so I'll give you this one for free. Don't tell that to an actual prisoner. Of course we killed them all. I bathed in their blood. You gotta... Oh.
Please,
I'll go do
He's crying, Steve.
One of them's my husband. Please, I'll run away. I won't come back. Just let me run find them.
Do you have any information about this ruin that we don't already possess?
I think there might be something buried, some treasure buried upstairs. No, not up where the stairs go up.
Do you know what? That might have just bought you your freedom. Is anyone still desiring the blood of leather-clad, one step above? Like, they're no threat to us. Let her go.
I'd like to know where they are. I'm going to do a sweep of the building. You want them alive if I find them that way?
Use your best judgment based on their demeanor. If they have decided that now might be a good time to yield, then we can set them on their way back to Thistlehold. Otherwise, set them on their way to whatever god they hold.
Understood.
We've already done a sweep, haven't we? Arindar has swept the building on the way down, right?
I did a sweep of the upstairs.
The sweep, I'm gonna do a lap of the building and see if any of the archers that have jumped out of the top floor are still within the vicinity of the building.
Sure. Could you give me a vigilant roll, please?
Yeah, if I can find my stat. Vigilant 10. 16, so that's a fail.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, you're pretty sure they're not in the building with you, but you don't see any sign of them otherwise.
To the best of my knowledge, they picked themselves up and headed off.
Ran off in some way. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll actually call out to Alindra as she's kind of left the building. Go, check the donkeys and the packs. Maybe they ran off with some of our stuff.
Will do.
The donkeys and the packs look safe and sound.
Based
I
on
really thought they were going to take them as well. So,
based on what we saw of the building and what this woman has told us, does Esquire have a good idea of where she means when she says where the stairs go up?
yeah, it's one of those big upstairs like landing areas where the stairs go up. There are multiple piles of like vegetable detritus and dirt and leaves that have swept into those upper floors. They definitely look like people have been kind of like digging in them a bit. So.
Okay.
Presumably that's where she meant.
I'm happy for her to go. Maybe the meerkats or the wolves will get her. Maybe she'll get back to Thistlehold.
If I see you again, lady, I will make you wish that I had killed you.
You won't see me again. I promise.
Go.
She kind of like, Steo bound her, so I'm assuming we're releasing her.
Yeah, I'll release her.
She kind of in a slightly blubbering voice expresses her thanks and kind of tips herself out of a gap in the wall and sort of runs off to the south to the nearest tree line. She's kind of calling out as she does so, trying to presumably find her husband or companions or whoever. She vanishes into the trees.
So that's another reason why we're not camping on these grounds tonight. But I
I
certainly
quickly
think
check
we
the
should
box is still where I put it
we
down.
should check
It
the
is
box,
indeed
and we
where
should
you
also
still-
check
where you put
these
it down.
stairs.
Yeah, Ganderold was like at the top of the stairs the entire time, and it's like, oh, no one came past me. That was
Good
very
job.
exciting.
There'll be a place for you in the guard if you ever get bored of Magecraft.
Oh, delightful.
Shall we
Well,
look at whatever disaster or trap is waiting us in this box?
Sure. In my head, I'm kind of imagining the box being placed on the ground outside and tipped open with the end of a spear. Is that a rough idea of what we're doing with this?
yes.
That's what I'd be angling for, yeah.
Sounds about right.
Sure. Well, the lid of this box tips aside with a little metal clank.
Haha,
And
sometimes
nothing
I
else.
love it when I'm wrong.
Peak.
Inside is what looks to be a fairly well-preserved book, which on closer examination appears to be a volume of notes of some kind that's been directly written by someone. Ganderold makes various excited noises as he starts to flip through it, and declares that it seems to be the notes of Menandra Nayar herself. He says this is quite a find, and he could certainly see that his master would pay you for it.
Amazing.
Or you could take it somewhere else, he supposes, but he rather hopes you'd sell it to his master.
Well, wasn't part of our agreement that the Order Magica gets to at least look at it?
They get to look at anything related to the possibility that this is a place that elves frequent, which this is not. Ganderold has yet to do that. Like, he will need to examine the area copiously, but he's willing to put that aside to make sure it's fucking safe first, which is what you're doing, I guess.
Right.
I think
Okay.
it seems like the Ordo Magica are the people that I know who are most likely to understand the value of this thing and pay fairly.
I don't think we'd really want to give the notes of a famous flesh crafter just to the highest bidder. I think Ordo Magica seems a safer bet.
There's that too.
Marginally safer, I suppose. There's fewer maniacal geniuses.
Well, then I will store it carefully in a preserved fashion on the donkey with your other belongings. And when we reach Thistlehold again, I will ensure that you get paid.
Marvelous.
Speaking of
does.
pay, in the interest of, I suppose, fairness, shall we split the money, the 100 thaler, evenly between combatants, which I think will work out at 25 each. And that way, Peralta Lindra isn't getting screwed up by us just returning the money to ourselves.
I mean, I was just going to take back the money that I put in, but if you want to do things that way,
Ganderal did put in a large amount of that money.
Of course. What was the ledger? Does anyone remember?
I think I put in 5 thaler, I believe.
Ganderal put in. Sorry.
Yeah, was it 65?
Ganderal put in 45.
45.
Belinda put in 5. I put in 10. And Steo and Askar put in 20 each.
If that sounds right, we'll go with that. Otherwise, I was going to say if we're just returning it, we could just go back to that bit of a previous recording and make sure what it is. But if we're comfortable that that's what it is, just note that you've got your thaler back. It's absolutely fine. What are we doing now?
We gave you such a nice way to get rid of our hyperinflation issue, and you threw it all away. I think the next thing to do is probably dispatch Ganderal to start his elf analysis while...
He'd rather not do that as night falls.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, we should probably address, as much as we can, the top of the stairs, and then move away from the site to pitch camp somewhere not there.
Kind of further out in the field or past the tree line? What are we doing?
I think maybe back towards the road, and maybe a half mile up the road if we can find somewhere else worthwhile. Just like
Maybe if we could,
distance there.
maybe if
I
we
think
could find.
amongst the trees.
Okay, I was going to argue for being like within watching distance of this building in case anybody tried to come back, but that would put us essentially in among the ruins.
Yeah, look, it's a watch system wherever, and the one thing we know, if those three get back together and somehow find some fool's courage, is they know where we are, so maybe we should not be there. And also, I just have a really bad... I just don't like sleeping in ruins, not after what happened in the Field of Ghosts.
You know Davakar better than I do. If the tree line is what makes sense, we'll do the tree line. Let's do the tree line in the direction of the road so that if anybody tries to come off the road, they'll meet us.
Yeah.
Okay. You can absolutely do that. You make your way over to the tree line. It's still a little bit from the road, but certainly in the direction of it. And you can make camp. And I'm assuming we're keeping a watch as we normally would do. And making it through the night. Is there anything anyone particularly wants to be doing or any discussions to be had? Like I say, Ganderald has to do a big sort of recce and examination of the area around the ruin, but he's not doing that at night time, and he'd rather wait until the ruin is made completely safe before he does it at all.
So I just maybe ask Ganderald as we're starting to bed down and go, so of all the possible sites, we now know exactly which one after all we've seen today, surely.
Yes, I'm very confident that this is the residence of Manandra Naya.
No sign of the magical tree, though. Quite interesting.
I had thought about that. Peculiar.
A metaphor, perhaps? Probably not.
Maybe. In my experience, the wildest stories of Symbaroum tend to not be exaggerations or metaphors.
I had kind of expected just to find a tree in the basement. Perhaps that warrants further investigation.
It did say it was underground, didn't it? In the legend.
I suppose it didn't say it was necessarily under that building. I had just assumed that.
True, any number of things could have happened in the intervening time. But it was important enough to have that large frieze on the wall, wasn't it? Strange.
Perhaps there's an underground chamber under the rest of the field, one of the other ruins?
Or
they were digging pits here, maybe they'd come to the same conclusion?
Maybe.
Let's
have another look in the morning. I can't stand a riddle not solved.
And of course, we still have the top of the stairs to investigate.
Are there any other discussions or interactions we want to have? Or are we happy to wind forward through a cold night in late winter in Davakar? You all wake the next morning slightly stiff and painful from both the exertions of the day before and the less than temperate conditions in the forest overnight. There is a soft frost over the grass of the field, and the sky above is that kind of that kind of overcast where you can't even detect one cloud from another. It's just like a field of greyish white above you. As the dull light beats down onto this opening in Davakar. Nothing happened during the night. No one came past. There's no sign of any interference in the ruins or the field since you took your rest.
Could have waited till summer. Packing away my breakfast things.
If we'd waited till summer, Lamando and his people may have found their way in.
don't think they really understood the meaning of the word love.
Are we approaching the ruins and going in for another go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
As you go over, Ganderald sort of like walks a bit faster than the group. So he kind of reaches the ruin first, and he's kind of just looking at one kind of south corner part of it, and kind of looking up and down. Is anyone trying to like see what he's seeing, or kind of like think about, kind of see what he's looking at, or are we just kind of leaving this to the?
I think Alindra might be on his wavelength anyway. I was thinking of going and revisiting the rubble piles on the ground floor to try to figure out how those correspond with what we now know to be the layout of the basement below.
Sure.
Right, and see if there's any particular areas of rubble that look like they might go down to
Like
something that we haven't already
they've
seen.
opened up something deeper. Yeah, sure. Well, you can go in and take a look at that. What about the other three of you? Ganderol definitely isn't. He's definitely looking at the exterior.
I was doing something else. Okay.
I think I'm going to be. Well, I suppose I think I would caution everyone that we should do our best to stay close together, if not all as one.
I think for that exact reason, I would stick with Ganderald. I wouldn't want to just leave him outside and carry on inside.
Okay. So are you sticking with them as well, Steo?
No, I think I'll go inside and probably haul Arendar along to the top of the stairs to start a more thorough
digging.
kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the two people digging. Why don't you give me what's a digging roll? I guess vigilant, right? Why don't you both give me a vigilant roll and you've been pointed in the right direction. Let's say just a -1. Askarai, why don't you give me a cunning roll at, I'd say, a -3 maybe. And Alindra, I take it you're scouting these piles before you're like trying to dig your way through them or anything.
Yeah, I'm not just kind of going in there and moving stuff around. I'm trying to work out,
trying to orient and think about
what seems like it's most likely to have things of interest below it.
Sure. So if you give us a cunning roll there as well,
right?
That should do. How did our diggers do?
Success.
Okay, then Arendar is the one to uncover the find. Why don't you give a D3 roll for me, please?
Okay. Let me get a D6. Three.
You are kind of scrabbling through the dirt up on this sort of landing area with the large stairs leading downwards. You are scrabbling near a little pit that clearly one of the treasure hunters has dug sometime in the last couple of days, and you see kind of a kind of copper glistening is the first thing you see. And as you clear away the dirt and the stones around it, you find an abacus. An abacus with pearls of gold, silver, copper, brimstone, and ruby. It doesn't seem to be, it doesn't have odd symbol. It doesn't seem to be kind of mystical or ritual in any way. It just seems to be an extremely luxurious abacus.
Oh.
It's definitely going to be worth something.
Okay. I will hold it up, like dust it off, and show it to Steo.
That's got to count for something.
Do you think that would have recouped our 100 thaler?
That we got back anyway through some creative manslaughter. I don't know if it's 100 thalers worth, but definitely very pretty.
I'll see if Ganderald has any use for it.
Okay. Alindra, how did that cunning roll go?
It was a success.
Okay. You think you can pretty confidently map out where bits of collapse have happened versus what lies below. Most of the collapse, it has to be said, is from the upper floor down to this one, rather than anything that feels like it could have gone through. In fact, I'll go so far as to say you're fairly sure that none of the collapses have large enough, bits of rock or landslides enough for you to feel like any of this floor has given way. Also, it does occur to you that the spiral stairs leading down, you think this floor is probably quite thick, and it would be if you think if it had given way at some point here, you'd see.
Okay, so essentially, if there are the mounds of rubble on the ground floor are where they are because that's where the upper floors fell.
Correct.
And if there's anything interesting, it's because it was on the upper floor and it fell.
Yeah, right.
Underneath it, or
there might be stuff in there. It'd be a hell of a job to clear most of these piles, but you don't think there's anything
I was looking
way or anything that's missing.
Yeah, I was looking for things where now we know the layout of the basement, whether there was anything interesting, and I guess that's
you don't think it correlates necessarily, but a good
Cool.
thought. On the other hand, on the outside, Ascarai, how did you go with your cunning roll?
I made it. I rolled a 3.
Okay. Ganderold is going to kind of be looking quite pointedly at like a corner that's protruding out of where the entrance chamber is, and say, does it seem to you like the plan of this building is missing a room in the basement?
I'm going to guess based on my successful cunning roll that it does seem like that to me.
It does.
I suppose it must be somewhere, but maybe there's some entrance where we failed to see.
On the north side here, I think there should be a corner between two of those cells. And those cells weren't big enough.
We could check the walls. If there's one hidden compartment to hold a book, perhaps there's some other mechanism that hides a door.
My thoughts exactly. Shall we go down and have a look?
Definitely.
He rushes over to the donkey and kind of gets one of the torches off it and starts lighting it up. He's not going to call for the others. It's up to you if you do.
No. Let's have a little changeling adventure.
Sure, absolutely. Well, you make your way down the winding stairs. This is part of the problem of this fog of war thing, right? In that, if we can bring that up there, you can see where I mean, right? Or where Ganderold means.
Yeah.
That a corner is missing in the plan. So you make your way. Obviously, nothing kind of leaps out at you or anything as you go down the stairs. The cellar still feels kind of quiet and still. And as you move towards those cells, Ganderold is kind of you could tell that he's pacing, measuring out his paces as he goes. And as you reach that far corner with sort of the leftmost cell on one side and that upper cell on the other, he stops and kind of looks and says, even the walls seem to have a bit extra.
Mm.
I think
you take one cell? You take one cell, I'll take the other.
Mm-hmm.
Must be a door.
Which one are you taking? Are you taking the one at the end of the row of cells or the separate one?
I'll take the separate one.
Okay. Absolutely. So you step into that cell. I take it you're examining the wall that's flush with this empty area.
Yeah, trying to see if there's anything. Since I've seen one of this marble is polished marble I found before, I'd be looking for something similar to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you give me a vigilant roll, please?
Okay. I need a 15. I rolled a 14, so just about.
Okay. After a sort of concerted examination, you're fairly sure what you're looking at here is a wall of a more normal and straightforward fashion.
Okay. After reaching that conclusion, I would kind of poke my head around into Ganderald's room, see if he's had any more luck.
Ganderald is actually stood back still and is just kind of examining very, very methodically and carefully.
Have you found anything? The wall in that other cell just seems to be a wall.
I must confess that Steo's warnings have made me a little nervous about actually. You wouldn't mind, would you?
Of course not. I mean, Steo is right to be cautious, but perhaps sometimes he's overly so.
I can't see anything. Can you?
Can I?
Well, now, why don't you give me a vigilant roll, and I'll give you a +1 because you did indeed find, something on the wall before.
Okay, I need a 16 in that case. I rolled a 13, so I make it.
Okay. You see several parts of the wall where those little polished marble sections are just sunk in between bricks, and you can see that they are in place in several points in the wall. You also see that one of them seems more polished than the others.
I'm going to just kind of motion Ganderod back a bit, and then push this, and then press it, and then step back as quickly as I can.
Absolutely. You press, it moves in with a clunk. You step backwards, and part of the wall starts to sort of judder and swing aside, and then the entire wall just collapses. Brick and stone coming apart from years of neglect to reveal a small stone chamber with it is a trapdoor, but there is no actual, trapdoor in it, with an old, slightly buckled metal ladder leading downwards.
I think it's time to go and tell the others you've found the way forward, Ganderald.
I suppose so. Are you going to stay here?
Yes. I'll, just in case anything comes out of this hole, but be quick, please.
I will. The others of you within the ruin hear a voice, Ganderald's voice, saying, we've found something. A way down.
Oh? Start heading towards him.
It's a hidden room. Quite an ingenious mechanism, I think. Although it didn't stand the test of time.
Oh.
How? Why were you off on your own underground?
I wasn't.
You're
Ascarai was
fools.
with me. Ascarai was with
That's almost worse.
me.
Come on, let's go.
You and Aaron were on your own, and Elindra was completely on her own.
Aaron is basically a saw with a noble house. Look, it's fine. It's fine. I forgive you. Don't do it again.
I'm a what?
A saw, like you just hack through things.
Ganderald wrinkles his forehead as if he doesn't really understand the point that is being made, and then shrugs and heads down the stairs. And before long, all of you are in this chamber looking at the ladder leading down below. There is very sort of stale, dead air wafting up from beneath. And it has to be said, an odd scent. Or a group of odd scents.
It's time for the pebble down the mysterious shaft test.
Okay.
I absolutely hate this.
There is a clattering of the pebble against rock and metal, and then the clattering stops. You would estimate that the ladder is probably around, let's say, 20 or so feet down. So a fair distance, but not, definitely climbable.
And not endless
How-
chasm.
No.
How sturdy does the ladder look?
It
I'm
looks like
gonna
it'll
rig a
bear
safe.
your weight if you go down one at a time.
Right.
I'm going to rig a safety rope.
Seems sensible. And there's rope aplenty on the donkeys. Okay.
So
Rope. What do you tie the rope to out of interest?
I was kind of thinking of anchoring it via probably something not in the room. So probably kind of maybe a longer rope kind of tied to like a doorpost or something further out, something where I'd have more
I'm not
options.
sure you have that much rope. You probably have like a post you could try and drive into between the rather decrepit stone floor or something like that.
Yeah, if that's the option, then I think
Tent
I
post.
would join two ropes together before doing that. But if that's the option, I'll put a kind of tent post, I suppose, and hammer it in.
Sure. Could you give me a strong roll, please?
Oh, I'd love to. Oh, failed.
Yeah, that post is not going in between these flagstones. You're not really sure how you would get a rope down there and actually anchor it up here.
Okay, well, what I'll do is I'll just brace the rope for the first couple of people down, and once we're happy that it's not necessary.
Yeah.
So you can take their weight
I think Alindra will volunteer to do the same as well. So
Sure. So that, I guess, means that Aaron and Askrai are going down first.
Yeah, seems fair.
Okay. Who is going down first then, shall we ask?
I'm happy to volunteer.
I normally get this pleasure, so I think it'd be nice to let you have the chance, Aaron.
Absolutely. So you head down this ladder, and you know what? It is perfectly navigable. It's it rattles from side to side a little at times, but nothing too badly. And as you reach the bottom, you can kind of hop off it and turn around. You can see that you're in what seems to be a natural cave. And there is a passageway. I take it you've come down with a torch, by the way. There is a passageway kind of off to sort of with a bit of orientation you feel is like the south, which seems to lead to a much larger chamber if the shadows cast by your torch are any indication. You also realize that there is some light coming from that larger chamber. Not a lot, but some soft light coming in through that opening.
I won't advance. I will call up. It seems fine down here. There's a larger chamber ahead and maybe some sort of light source.
I think that's our missing tree.
Let's hope so.
Okay. Asker, are you coming down next?
Yeah, I'll follow Aaron down.
Okay. You get to the bottom, perfectly fine. The ladder definitely seems to have had no indication of breaking or collapsing.
Ladder seems fine. I think we'll be okay without the rope.
I'll hold the rope for you, Steo, if you would prefer.
I just have my doubts. Feck it, I've been down worse holes. I'll scoop down the ladder.
Sure. Ganderald follows after you, and then presumably Alindra comes down last. And we
Yep.
gather in that chamber?
Yep.
Sure. Okay, are we proceeding into the larger chamber?
I think so, but I'll definitely have my bow drawn.
Yeah, that seems smart.
Okay. So, as you emerge into this larger chamber, it sort of extends to some way to your left, but you can see it kind of narrows to a close as it proceeds, and you can kind of see the end of it there. Over to your right, it widens out to be really quite large, all of it looking natural. As you're looking to the right, over kind of almost in front of you, is what appears to be another passageway off. And that passageway also seems to have had at some point a large wooden door there, but it's mostly fallen apart now and is kind of ajar anyway. Further into this massive chamber off to your right, you can see a large stone dais raised up from the natural floor of the cavern, and on that you can see a large mass of earth and vegetation, and springing up from the middle of that is a towering cypress tree, and that cypress tree has, it has to be said, an odd copperish tint to its leaves and its bark. The light is not coming from the tree. The light is coming from a set of very dim torches that are planted nearby in like just a square around this dais. The low stone wall that marks the edge of the dais, you could see is like, only maybe a couple of feet up from the ground. And sat on that wall are what look like 5 human individuals. But you're going to have to get closer with your torch if you want to see clearly.
Hello?
If no one else is moving forward, Elindra will.
Okay.
Slowly.
Oscar will back Elindra up, but a step or two behind.
Absolutely. Ganderold is taking up like the rear a little bit and kind of peering round as he makes his way forward. Are we just kind of slowly approaching the tree and these forms sat on the stone wall?
Yeah. Torch forward, trying to shed as much light. Sword in the other hand, just steadily pacing forwards.
So once you get, I would say, maybe about 20 feet away from this dais and the copper cypress, 2 things happen at once. One is your torchlight rolls over these individuals close enough to see them properly. They all very much look dead. They are dressed in, to your eyes, very outlandish, unusual clothing, with sort of symbols and kind of script you don't recognize sewn into them. 3 of them look very, very similar, even in their kind of not so much decayed as desiccated forms, with identical kind of hair that is still surviving and moving down them. Look like maybe you'd say they look like sisters of some sort of middle years. Only one of them looks like a man, and is next on the stone wall to another individual who's dressed in the most elaborate robes, with a sparkling silver sort of necklace around her neck made of odd contorted kind of forged shapes. As you get closer, this individual, who looks a little less desiccated and decayed than the others, you are fairly sure that dark, glassy, obsidian eyes roll towards you slightly, and as you come to a halt with this motion, all 5 of them rise slowly and calmly to stand facing you. Not aggressively, just standing as you approach. And I have an image, should anyone want, of specifically the more elaborate looking individual in the center of the group. And I think we'll end it there for the evening. So,
What a tease.
Thank you for joining us, folks. If you've got any comments or questions, sling them into the chat. As usual, I'll do a bit of promo and then we'll come to them. Links down below, YouTube and Twitch. You're watching on one. Please do check out the other. YouTube has a vast array of our library, and Twitch is a place where you can catch our streams live. If you want to look at our social media or join our Discord or sponsor us on Patreon, there are links down there for that as well. We currently run 2 weekly series. Mondays is Warhammer, Wednesdays is Symbaroum. We just finished another one, which was Tuesday night's Cincinnati Chronicles, our World of Darkness anthology series. That will all be up on YouTube shortly. We also run monthly one-shots of various systems. The next one is on Saturday, the 10th of September, where we will be playing Night of the Hogmen. Later in September, we're actually having 2 because we missed August. So Johnny will be running a space-based Call of Cthulhu. If you want a preview of what that might be like, go on our YouTube and look for our 2-part series, The Long Silent Night. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Comments, questions, thoughts, insults. 42, could I call the dais the Cypress Hill? You can and you should. Don't kick food. We've all got a one-shoot mind. Yeah, no foam in the shoot. At least it's not foamy. Lovely, lovely. Cross-system callbacks. That's what we like. Steve, this is a bit like Bargain Hunt. Wonder if you make some reliable profit. Oh my God, you're taking me back to the days of my university daytime boredom. Yeah. Electro Druid, I liked it more when it was only Mike rolling 20s. Now it's all of us. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Plenty of 20s roll today.
What, 3, 4?
Yeah.
And then a bunch of 1s, and
Yeah.
like it felt like not much in between.
It's so
Traditional
wild that
Ascarai ones, though.
yeah.
2 nice ones.
It's so wild that all this time we thought Mike was generating the bad luck, whereas it actually turns out he was just concentrating.
He was
the whole
absorbing it.
group's
He was
bad luck.
He's the healer. He's the support character. He was shielding you from the luck.
Oh my
Selfless.
God!
What a sacrifice.
Oh,
I'll never mock him again.
much. Oh, come on.
I mean,
Be reasonable. Much missed. We will hopefully have Mike back soon. 42. You can't even trust a scruffy treasure hunter. This is a grim and dark world. Yeah, I know. You can't even trust someone who would take vast amounts of money off you for access to a forbidden ruin.
I for one, am pretty happy that they chose to come back.
Yeah,
we
It
got
worked out right in the end.
Yeah. Let us warm up nicely. There we go.
We've got some serious responses about thoughts on the map.
Malice, if this is Owlbear Rodeo you're using, I believe it can be used as VTT where players can move tokens if you provide that to them. Yeah, I think you can use tokens. I just, in my head, VTTs need like die rollers and, various little things like you have on, what's the one we used years ago, John? It's a big one.
Is it Roll20 or something?
Roll20, yeah. Like those kind of extra features is what I think of when I think VTT. Or like the new ones that are more software based where you have like the suites of actual rules and like you get the system as part of the thing of it is what I think.
Yep.
A huge daddy longlegs just literally flew across cam. I don't know if anyone saw that.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah,
I think I heard it as well.
Maybe it did fly literally over the top of my mic. I've only ever used Owlbear for displaying on my VTT table when players are moving minis around the board. If I'm doing online, I go with Foundry. Yeah, sure. We definitely don't, and I know we've had people comment on this and talk about it since the start of the channel. We definitely don't want to fully use a VTT. It's not that I'm against them so to speak, and I've used them in the past. But especially for something like a stream like this, I think it actually produces admin more than it tends to save it. I'm also a big fan of the theatre of the mind. And also, to be brutally honest, one of our big concerns is not looking like every other roleplay stream. And every other roleplay stream has the players usually with very small cams, with a massive thing and a die roller and a like. It actually takes me out of it. I struggle to watch any streams like that. I'm not saying they're bad; they're just not for me. And we've not wanted to look like that, so hence the use of StreamYard and stuff. But let us know what you think about things like the map and the Fog of War reveal there, and that's to the players, to other crew members, as well as people, because I'm interested in what people think. Based on us using it there, I'm actually veering away from it already in my head and thinking that having the players map it is more fun. I don't know.
I kind of agree with Steve's point here about it being kind of demanding to draw the maps. I think also from the point of view of watching it, you've got one person hand drawing these maps, and when we get them up on screen, I think they look really good. But I think there can be a bit of a delay between, like, it's not very immediate,
Sure.
And also,
either way, we'll
Also, I guess if somebody draws the map completely wrong, that's going to get a bit confusing.
Yeah, we've been lucky so far, I think. I was so pleased with how the Into the Odd ones worked out, because it was literally like just looking at the map in the book, essentially.
I'll credit complex map as well.
To both, I'll credit to because Mike drew some and Sam drew some, I think, in Into the Odd, and I credit it to them, but also to me. Damn it! Clearly, I'm all right at describing these things. So
we could. There's been something I've been wanting to try out for a while. That might allow live drawing. But that is a maybe and a not definite, and again may add extra admin on to whoever is doing it.
Yeah, I know, like Monday nights have been using something, right? I don't think so much maps as just for noting down like stats and stuff, right?
Yeah, basically for admin.
If you're watching along here and want to be a more in-depth part of this conversation, may I direct you to the patrons only section of our Discord, where we have poll sections and discussion sections, and I think this would be a great place to formalize that for our paying customers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. What else we got anyway? What else we got in the old
let's see what else we got.
Commentary? And while John is taking a look, thank you to resubscribes. Tonight we've had both Charlie Octogirl and Lord Malice, both regular viewers. Recognize those names and love you both. Thank you for your resubscribes. It's much appreciated. Steve, the next group of treasure hunters are going to find some more teeth in the oven.
That's it. I just liked ending on that one.
Yeah, that's a fair point. This is Symbaroum after all. Yeah, there we go. Lovely stuff. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us for Symbaroum. We will be back next week. Warhammer will also be on next week on Monday, which I think is planning to be the penultimate episode. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. I can also reveal that probably what's happening after that, we don't know what's happening with Tuesdays or Thursdays yet, but it's very likely that after Warhammer concludes, there might be some interim stuff, but then Monday nights will probably be returning to Johnny as GM for the next story, and he will be running the long-awaited Vaesen story that I know a lot of people have been waiting for us to do, and specifically for Johnny to do, because it's like made for Johnny and his predilection for folk horror. So that should be a good one, right? We've also got another little kind of experimental treat, hopefully starting sometime soon, but I'll keep my lips shut on that one, other than to say we are experimenting with recording rather than doing live things.
I think you're delving into classified information there.
That is classified information. Only top secret agents know this information. So There we go, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Take care and stay safe, and we will see you next week for more Symbaroum. Goodbye.